what happened to humanity during the years of COVID to where, like, we allowed other human beings to tell us to stay inside and to stop living life. You know what I mean? What happened to us? And now I'm seeing people psychologically damaged, psychologically afraid to even step outside and be around people. You know what I mean? COVID psychologically damaged a lot of people, more than we realize. But you know what? I ain't afraid. I'm gonna live my life unafraid. I remember when COVID happened, me and a buddy of mine, we went down to the beach and we camped right on the beach during the whole COVID situation, because you gotta be free. Humanity and our soul needs to be free. That's humanity. The need of humanity is a desire to be free, and to be outside and to enjoy life. And shame on you if you allow yourself to be held a prisoner to fear. And you're afraid to be around people. You're afraid to step outside. You know what I mean? It truly is terrible. You know, I was watching a girl on her YouTube account, and severe paranoia, fear, phobias. This is what happens when you leave people alone for too long. You just lock them in a room, you know what I mean, and give them a device and feed them fear through their phone, and fear and paranoia takes over their mind. Now they're afraid to even leave their houses and be around people, and they forgot how to be social. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Or maybe they never even learned, you know, how to be social. And so, you got to teach people new habits. There's a lot of people even around here. You say hi to them, they don't say hi back to you. You know what I mean? But you say hi anyway, right? You know, you say hi anyway. So what? Somebody don't say, And so today I was at the park, and I just made a personal decision that everybody I passed that day, I was gonna say, "Hey, how are you today?" And I had some, brief conversations with some people, but that's what we need. We've lost our communication skills, our interpersonal skills, uh, our ability to converse and relate with people, and you know that is sad. That's that fear and paranoia that you got to break free of that. There are many people who are held a prisoner in their own heads, in their own minds. You know what I mean? Afraid, fears, phobias, social phobias, afraid to talk to people. Like, are you kidding me? You afraid to talk to someone? You know what I mean? Can you talk to your mother? Hey, mom, can I have $5? Hey, mom, what you cooking for dinner? Can you talk to your sister? Hey, sis, you know what I mean? I like your blouse. You know what I mean? Can you talk to your dad? Like, let's, if you can communicate verbally, intelligibly, then you can have a conversation. This fear is inside of you. That's you. That fear is coming from inside of you, which means you're the problem. And you have to face that. You're the problem. If the fear is coming from inside of you, you're the source of fear, and nobody on the outside is threatening to hurt you. You know what I mean? Uh, but they're just walking down the street. You know what I mean? And you're afraid. You have a fear and a phobia that takes over you. That is coming from inside of you, not another person. You have to address that yourself. And so, but a nice thing is, uh, I'm seeing some people that just casually talking to online, trying to encourage in their lives journey, and I'm seeing them come outside. One young lady, uh, is in the park. You know what I mean? She's left a room that has carried a lot of deep darkness and pain, and she's starting to leave that behind, and she's growing, and I think that's beautiful. You have to get outside. Do not allow fear to rob you of your life. Find green pastures, lots of trees, lots of greenery. You know what I mean? Especially in the city, most times it's going to be a park, but that's perfect because other people can gather in the park with you. It's a public place, public space where other people can come and you can say, "Hey, how you doing?" I had a conversation with a lady, was walking around that pole. I was just sitting down at the bench. She walked around. We just started a conversation. You know what I mean? And now in today's day and age, how frequently are you out and about and you have a conversation with someone? You know what I mean? Because everyone is typically isolated. After COVID, people's heads got stuck into patterns of behavior. And you know what? The patterns of behavior were before that, before COVID. You know what I mean? Most people go to work, and after work, the first thing they do is maybe go to a grocery store, grab some food, and go home, and they're in for the night, glued in front of the television set. That's most people. You know what I mean? Most people don't get outside. They sleep indoors in their house. They wake up, they drive to a job that's indoors. You know what I mean? Miss out on all this good and beautiful sunlight, which lifts your spirits. That's what the sunlight does when you're out, and it lifts your spirit inside of you. And you have to understand that it's the spirit that gives life. Specifically the spirit of God. You know what I mean? The spirit of the living God breathes life into our soul and really wakes us up from our slumber in many ways. But got to get outside. You have to surround yourself with other human beings. You're not a digital being, you know what I mean? And if your only communication is through a digital medium, you know what I mean? You might as well be a bot on the internet, you know what I mean? Uh, because that's your only interaction with society is digitally. You got to actually sit down and have conversations with people, be social, interaction, and not be afraid to have a conversation. Now, not everybody has the best communication skills, and we have to just be okay with that. As people learn and grow in their communication skills, in their ability to relate. But to me is really, really sad because I see young girls who are trapped in their homes and really don't have any true life experience. All they know is the experience of being in their room. You know what I mean? And they're adults. You know what I mean? They're in their 20s or 30s. You know what I mean? And they're still, in many ways, have the experiences of little girls, um, in which I think is beautiful because there's an innocence that's about that. However, the real world has a lot of people that are predators, that hurt people. You know what I mean? That think that they're just going to destroy people and throw them away as if their lives are meaningless. You have a lot of people out there like that. So you do, especially as a young woman, you have to guard yourself. You have to protect yourself, your virtue, to leave your own soul, right? If a man's just going to just try to sleep with you and then throw you away and damage and break your soul apart, and throw you away as if your life is trash, you know what I mean? What girl would want to go through that? And so I saw a woman online that she made the decision, just like, you know what, I ain't doing that. I ain't just going to allow myself to be. And I say, you know what, go ahead, girl. You know what I mean? The reality is she's still a woman and she still has needs. She might not understand that now, that she has a biological need for a man. But again, she doesn't come from a Judeo-Christian mindset, and so you can't really expect her to hold those beliefs. I do. I don't. The women, you need men. The first man you needed was that man, that your father, and the seed from whence you came. He sowed. You know what I mean? That's the first man you needed. You couldn't even got here if it wasn't for a man. And so any woman that's talking about we don't need a man, you really don't know how the birds and the bees actually work, do you? You know what I mean? Yes, you needed a man in your life from the very first conception of your life. You needed a man. And so, okay, I'm checking to make sure this is still playing. But I'm kind of rambling here. I kind of went off on a tangent, but you know what I mean? Women should keep themselves from being destroyed by these men out here who treat them as if they're paper plates and they use them and throw them away. You know what I mean? Women are, I believe, just by principle of who God created them to be as a man's help mate. The help mate is the wife is a minister. And a lot of women don't understand that a wife has a spiritual ministry to her husband and to her children, does she not? And she may neglect her husband. She may deny the fact that she has a spiritual ministry to minister to her husband's needs. She may not understand that they're actually one flesh, and to minister to her husband's spirit and his needs is also, by virtue of their oneness, a ministry to herself. To build up your husband is to build up yourself. To build up your wife is to build up yourself if you're a husband. And so, but there's some women out there who don't want to be damaged by men using them and throwing them away. And I say, you know what? You should. You should protect your honor and your virtue. And she says that she's not saving herself for marriage. However, why save yourself and then give yourself to a man eventually, and it not be your husband though? That man who's not gonna treat you like a paper plate and use you and throw you away. You know what I mean? Uh, and unless she just wants to, you know, experience sexual intercourse on her terms. And if she doesn't have feelings, throw him away. I don't know. You know what I mean? That could be the case. She might just want to be like, okay, I just want to use him for sex and throw him away. You know what I mean? There are women who do that too. But the dating game is messed up. The beliefs and the values that both sides are holding are completely corrupted. Can The whole reason the dating game is the way it is because the values of the men and the values of the women are and their attitudes are completely corrupted. You know what I mean? You have to acknowledge that the way people are thinking is messed up, and it's not causing for healthy and satisfactory long-term commitments, marriage, relationships, and things like that. It's not. And anybody who's tried dating virtually and and just dating period can probably find out that it's a mess. It's a complete mess. um and for many people it can seem extremely hopeless. It can. If you're a woman out there and you want a man to love you, to cherish you, to marry you, to have children, if you want that kind of existence, you're probably finding it a lot harder to find men out there who value that. However, I'm such a man that values such things. I search for things like what good is it? As terrible as the dating market is right now, as terrible as the dating market is right now, why would you ever abandon the stability of a husband and wife marriage? Why would you abandon that stability to get back into a dating scene where you might be single for the rest of your life, because that's what's happening. You girls are like, oh, I want to go out and club. I'm leaving you. Bye. And they pull the legs out from under your table, and your table crashes to the floor, and they're out in the club, like, and they still single. 10 years go by, 20 years go by, they still go in the clubs, still looking for whatever they're chasing after. You know what I mean? If you're in this singles dating market, you know what I mean, and the reality is it's extremely hard to meet people because everybody is digital nowadays. Social media is a digital interaction, and people don't want to leave the comfort and safety of their digital interactions, from the comfort of their toilet, the comfort of their couch, the comfort of their uh, whatever, and actually have a face-to-face interaction. People need face-to-face types of interaction, and they need to be able to hear themselves speak, and also need to have interactions with other people to speak with them and converse, and get to know people, build relationships, build friendships with people in your life's journey. You know what I mean? There are people who come upon your life's journey, and you cross paths, and your interactions can be a few seconds, few minutes, you know what I mean, or uh, what have you. But get outside of the digital world, escape the digital world. This is, you know what I mean, because in a community, in a city like Edmond, here in Oklahoma, after school and after work, the streets and the parks should be flooded with people doing stuff, meeting, getting together. You know what I mean? Like, people go straight home and they stay home after work. And they have no social interaction outside of their jobs. Hello, how are you today? Good, I'll take a number 5. Okay, that'll be 1750. Have a good day. And that's all they say all day long. That's all their communication is corporate customer service, and would you like to buy a subscription to this? You know what I mean? Would you like to, you know what I mean? And that's the only time they hear themselves speaking, is when they're selling a product or a service. You know what I mean? Like, is that a travesty of what humanity has become, so detached from other human beings in real, true relationships? We have been allowed to digitally converse, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, I'm being social, I'm online. You know what I mean? Digital socialness is different than sitting down with someone in a park and hearing the birds chirping, and feeling the breeze upon your skin, and feeling the sunlight, and watching the squirrels run past you, and the birds fly, and Joe walk his dogs, and people living life and creation enjoying creation. And that's really what it is you're outside enjoying God's creation, and how that impacts your spirit and your mind inside of you. Think about that. You can go outside and enjoy the beauty of God's creation. You know what I mean? You could do that. Or you can bury yourself in your apartment, bury yourself in your house, bury yourself in your car after work, and just wake up and just stay there all day long and miss out on living life. See, all this greenery is living, and it exists in the sunlight. You know what I mean? Like, living things exist in the sunlight, out in the open. And human beings were created to be in the midst of the garden, in the midst of the green stuff, in the midst of the living matter, the plants and animals. We were created to be in the midst of living things and to care for it. You know what I mean? So I believe that's our original estate, and the more detached we get from that original estate by God's design, because I believe it's all part of God's design. All the systems and the ecosystems of the world working together. You don't have to be, a genius to figure out that the seasons continue in order. You know what I mean? They're unchanging. Following God's design. And when you follow God's design for your life, you grow. Can I just say that again? When you as a man or woman follow God's design for your life, you will grow. And I pray that you will. But, you know what I mean? We got to all start our journey somewhere. Always best to look up to the heavens, from whence comes your help, and often hit your knees too. You know what I mean? Hit your knees, get on the ground, and humble yourself, and thank God, because you are the work of His hands, just like all of creation, right? Just like the trees are the work of His hands, the ants, you know what I mean, the caterpillars, the bugs, the spiders, the snakes and the serpents and the scorpions and the crocodiles and the birds, and all of it, all of God's creation. All of God's creation, and we are part of that creation. We're all a part of God's plan, His design. We are the work of His hands. And when you understand that, when your mindset believes that, it's like, okay, God, you created the garden, the heavens, the earth, the sun, you know what I mean, the rains that fall, the clouds, the seeds, you created all that, and you sent the rain, and you caused the seeds to sprout and to spring up, you know what I mean, and you set man and say, okay, man, work it. It's going to come up for you. You work it. You care for it. You cultivate it for growth. You know what I mean? But man, in many ways, is a caretaker of God's creation. And we are a part of that God's creation. And likewise, so if man is a part of God's creation, also the woman is. Because the woman and the man have a joint mission together, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, is men and women have a divine calling of union together. That's called marriage. The holy marriage, holy matrimony, that is a divine calling before God of union between the man and a woman to help and care for each other, and and work and build, you know what I mean, God's creation. That's a divine calling. And what I observe, what my eyes see, is men and women who are single, who are hurting, being alone. They're falling apart. Especially with all the life stress that's going on right now, with the economy and work, and the struggle that it is to be alone. You know what I mean? If you're alone in this struggle, It's a lot different than having someone to come and talk to you about it, like, somebody who's helping you in your life's journey. You always got somebody you wake up to help every single day, whether it's a husband who's going to work and helping you to put food on your table and care for the kids, or a wife who's doing the same. You know what I mean? You wake up to help in life's journey every single day, which is a huge blessing. And I think everybody who's married should grab their wife or grab their husband. And you know what? I thank God that I have someone by my side in this mess that we're going through right now. You know what I mean? That would be the appropriate response to anyone who has a husband or wife through the COVID situation. I thank God that I have a wife with me in this house, you know what I mean, or a husband with me in this house while I'm going through this lockdown. You know what I mean? Like, the people who had that are mentally a lot more well off and spiritually well off because they had someone to help them through that battle of life. You know what I mean? And they were with each other through that battle. Those of us who are single and already hurting because we're not, we don't have that source of help and strength. I pray that you're looking up to God, to heaven, and that He sees you. He sees your tears. And He hears your prayers. And He comes down to help. And oftentimes He sends His people to come and help. God has His people that He sends to us to help us oftentimes in our time of need. And, when people come to help us, we should never be attacking those who are sent to help us. I think that's completely foolish. You attack people who God sends to help you in whatever capacity that they are able to help you. But this is I'm ranting a little bit longer than I had originally intended to rant, but men and women need each other. I just designed a shirt that I'm hoping to get printed here, and hopefully in a new video you'll see me wearing it. And it says, "The woman is man's best friend," and I have a picture of a man and a woman in a heart, and they're dancing together. You know what I mean? And I think it's beautiful. And my future mamacita, she better learn how to dance with me, because I'm planning on dancing for as long as the Lord God gives me the strength. I'm planning on dancing forever. You know what I mean? That's what I'm planning on, and I'm planning on getting stronger and faster and better, and flying and soaring in the air too. I'm believing for great things. And who's to say you don't see me flying up here soon? You know what I mean? I pray that you see that. Soaring like eagles. And coming with the clouds. So, greetings, blessings upon you. To all of you people out there who are in the battle alone, lift up your head. Your help. I want to face the statue over here. I'll face it this way. This is better. This is a little bit better. Your help comes from the maker of heaven and earth. Lift up your head Don't lift it down in shame and in defeat. Breathe in deep and understand that that breath of life that is in your lungs came from the giver of life. And as I said before, God's calling for the woman is in a divine ministry to her husband who needs her. She needs him and he needs her. You know what I mean? The two are dependent upon each other. And this is, I see a lot of men out there who are revolting against the dating scene and protesting against, the caliber of women out there and things of that nature. But the reality is, bro, yeah, these women out here are wild. Weeds have been sown into their minds. You know what I mean? And they believe a lot of nonsense. And it doesn't make for the nonsense that they believe and that they speak and that they act upon doesn't make for stable relationships. And likewise, there are a lot of men who hold beliefs and value systems that don't make for stable relationships either. So the dating scene is very screwed up. This is why you got to get outside, and it makes, to me, perfect and complete sense. Just you think of a school of fish, right? If you have like school, you got gym class, you got boys and girls socializing together, playing games together, talking, getting to know each other, but after about college, people don't have that anymore. When they graduate college and they enter the workforce, those social meetings places begin to deteriorate, and so you have to start building that again. You have to leave the digital world behind. Leave it behind. You know what I mean? I like to do my video logs and my thoughts and ideas and share them with the world, whoever's listening, you know what I mean? Whatever. But it's for me to be able to one day go back and be like, oh, you know what I mean? I remember that. You know what I mean? It's a way for me to catalog my life's adventures and my journeys and some of the people that I've met along the way. You know what I mean? And so, but still doesn't take away our need for real life companionship. A dog is not your companion, man. You know what I mean? This is the real reason, one of the reasons why I wanted to confront that faulty belief system. A lot of y'all guys think that this dog is your friend. You know what I mean? Like, you got the dog sleeping with you. You got the dog, I was talking to a brother the other day. He said he was feeding the dog steaks. I was like, what? Like, how the heck you feed a dog steak in this kind of economy, bro? You know what I mean? That's another mouth to feed, number one, in this economy. But people kissing their dogs, kissing their cats, and they don't see nothing wrong with that, right? Having fellowship with a canine spirit and having fellowship with a feline spirit, you know what I mean, instead of a human spirit, you know what I mean, and people's, frequency starts getting, animalized, you know what I mean, they be all become Hello Kitty. All these girls walking around Hello Kitty, programmed to be Hello Kitty and Dog Boy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the caliber of women that we have now. And like, now I'm not really trying to knock people who are pet lovers, but what I am trying to say is, man, the dog is not your companion. God did not create the dog to be your friend or companion. I shouldn't have to say that. The woman is man's companion. The man needs the woman. And I don't care if you're hurt and in pain or divorced or whatever, your need for the woman will never stop. because God designed you, God created you, and God created that woman to meet your needs when you're younger and when you're older. She's a help. She is, and God wants us men to be mated to a help. We wake up to our help. That's what God wants. Yes, are there a lot of women out there who don't make for very good helpmates? I haven't met every woman. I haven't. And you know what? I can look at a woman right now and size her up and check all the boxes. You know what I mean? She looked to be perfect, but one day she could wake up and be like, I don't want you anymore. I want this other guy, and she jump ship on you. I could check all the boxes and then wake up 5, 10 years, 6 months, whatever later, and she wake up and she says, you know what? I don't want you anymore. You know what I mean? People do that all the time. When you're in a marriage, that man has to wake up every day and say, you know what? I choose you again today. And that wife has to wake up and say, you know what, husband? I choose you again today. And I choose you again tomorrow. And I choose you again forever. You know what I mean? Every day, the man and woman has to wake up and choose you again that day, because they can wake up and say, you know what? I'm walking away. Anytime, any moment, they can do that. Unless I put my chain on her and chain her up. Chain her to me. You know what I mean? That way she can't go too far. I got my chain on her. You know what I mean? So she can't go but too far, and anytime she try to get away, just pull it. You know what I mean? See the utility of these things. Again, a lot of people who are asking me, why are you wearing that? What's the point? It has many points and purposes. However, you know, there are many applications for using. Let me just say this: there are many applications for using the chain. Utility, work, spiritual reasons, physical health reasons, utility, what have you. But relationship too, because my next wife, she gonna have to be willing to take these chains. She gonna have to want them on her. She gonna have to beg me for them. Give them to me. Give me those chains, baby. I'm sorry, I didn't quit. But yeah, so just some thoughts. Get outside. Say hi to people. Say good morning. Hello, good morning. How are you? How you feeling today? Just smile. You know what I mean? Because there's two women, and I'm not really sure where they're from. I think they're actually rather attractive young women. I think they're actually pretty attractive. But they're not smiling, and you like, how do you expect the man to ever say hi to you if you gotta, hello, you know what I mean? Ladies, your facial expression communicates a lot to you. If you want a man to come and talk to you, smile, please. Smile. At least makes us think, okay, well, at least she's friendly. You know what I mean? When you got this mean mug on you all day long, and that's, frowny faces may be a deterrent from social interactions. Ladies, can I just be speaking from just in a normal way, right? A man with a angry face or a man with a smile, which one is more approachable? The same thing with a woman, right? If I'm a man looking, I find a woman attractive, and actually a smile makes women more attractive. Can I say that to all you ladies out there? When you smile, that smile, energy, communication, you're communicating a pleasant energy when you smile. And when a man sees that cognitively, that releases a uh, a pleasurable, feel good chemical in the brain. Oh, she's smiling. You know what I mean? It makes you feel better when somebody's seeing a smiley face. So whether you're a man or a woman and you want people to be friends with you in social, smile. You know what I mean? Like, this mean mug gotta stop, ladies. This nasty, miserable attitude that some people carry around is walking around miserable. That spirit, I'm running in the opposite direction. I don't want that spirit around me, because most people don't understand that spirits are contagious. You know what I mean? You can spread your misery to others. You can spread your anger to others. You can spread your fear. You can spread your worry, your hatred. You know, you can spread spirits to other people. You know what I mean? And uh, for my sisters out there who are struggling, when somebody comes to try to give you advice, you might want to try it. Just experiment. Try it one time and see what happens. Um, for you ladies out there who are single, you're more valuable than you realize. You are precious in the eyes of God, the one who created you with a divine calling in ministry, as being a helpmate to a man out there who needs you. He might not appreciate you, he might not value you, you might not value him. You might abandon him. You know what I mean? I pray that you won't. Because when you abandon your husband, when you abandon your wife, you're abandoning yourself, because you're no longer two but one. And so I'm ranting. I want to stop this video and finish up here. Uh, Maybe go back to listening to my music here. But that's my thoughts and my ideas for today. Um, get outside, speak to people. Please say hi. How are you today? How are you doing? Smile. Can we reclaim our social skills that were lost? You know what I mean? Can we reclaim these things back? You can learn how to be social again, and you can learn to be better than you were yesterday. That's just the truth. In every area of your life, you can be better today than you were yesterday. A better man, a better woman. You can reject the lies of yesterday that you held, and hold on to the truth, and start receiving the truth. Action produces change in your life. New actions produce new kinds of changes. Be willing to try something new. Be willing to step outside, live life. Your life is not over just because you lost your job. Your life is not over because you lost a house. Your life is so much more than a house and car, bro. Quit thinking that these things, these items of material possessions define your value. They do not. Because every brand new car today will be thrown in a junk pile tomorrow. Or another day. It all breaks down. You look at all those multi-million dollar houses in California that were wiped out as fires just burnt them all to the ground. All those treasures of people's lives invested in their home wiped out. And you know what? Life is so much more than the abundance of your possessions. Your house, your car, your clothes, your shoes, your jewelry. Your life is so much more than that. And for all you people who are chasing after stuff to make you feel like your life has value, you are robbing your own self, chasing after stuff that don't mean anything, that's going to be in the garbage tomorrow. All those, you think of all those designer clothes that people buy, right? Hundreds, thousands of dollars, on designer clothes. They get a scuff on it. You know what I mean? You got $1,000 pair of sneaks and you get a scuff on it. You know what I mean? Destroyed, in the trash eventually. Everything. All material stuff eventually reaches the trash bin. Your material possessions do not define your value. I know it does not define my value. Nor does it bring, it does bring some comfort. You know what I mean? When you have comfortable houses and cars and clothes and shoes, it brings some comfort to your life. And I think that comfort is the reason why everybody's sitting on the couch, sitting inside, not living life, because they're comfortable. But when your house gets set on fire, now you can't sit in the house. When the bankers come and seize your house, or tax collectors come and seize it, you know what I mean? Now you can't sit in the house. Now you can get outside and enjoy it, and then you get out here like, oh man, it's actually, being outside is actually a better state of being for me as a man. And it's only when you lose the houses, cars, clothes, things like that, that you start understanding, okay, I'm much more healthier now than I was when I had a roof, an apartment, a house. Tell you what though, it ain't easy. It tests you. It definitely does. But I'm rambling on. Get outside and live life. Live it with other human beings. That's what I say. Shalom, blessings upon you.